I'm a American.
Only rearrange from death to birth. One nature, one earth. We've been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we here to stay. Americans reawaken. On the in and down, on and down, in and down. We've been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we here to stay. Ancestral dreams help us survive. Like rivers and streams keep Great Lakes alive. In nature we trust, 'cause nature is us. From death to birth, one nature, one earth. Been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we here to stay. Americans reawaken. In and down, on and down, in and down. We've been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we here to stay. Americans reawaken. Here to stay. Back to nature. Time for us to heal. Time for us to rise. Time for us to feel. We're living more than life. Time to face our fear. Time to give up grief. Time to make it clear. American, still here. We've been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we're here to stay. Americans reawaken. In and down, on and down, in and down. We've been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we're here to stay. Americans reawaken. Back to nature. Americans reawakening, coming home back to nature. Americans reawakening, coming home back to nature. We've been found, lost and found in the USA. We've been up and down, but we're here to stay. Americans reawakening, coming home back to nature.
And what I'm trying to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, is the real world that our children live in, not the ideal one that we want them to live in, not this wonderful world that we pray that will come here one day, but the real world that they have to live in. You want to know why they're acting so crazy? You want to know why they're doing the things that they're doing? Because we have not prepared them to live in this real world. We have sent them through 12 years of school teaching them this dumb stuff that doesn't work, and when they go out and try to apply it and get killed for it, we are not there to help them through.
Welcome to another edition of African Americans, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, Buck Wylam, and today we're going to hit on what Dr. Sizemore was talking about, education, and why we lack so much of it. To get in contact with us at African Americans Ain't African Radio, call us at 605-562-3140. We can also be reached on Facebook African Americans Ain't African chat room on Facebook. Come join us. And if you can prove that your family came to Africa on a ship in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, we got a special prize for you. There's a video out called Anarchy USA, the Civil Rights Movement. If you go to African Americans Ain't African on Facebook, we have it posted. This is a must for all people who are in the civil rights movement, for all people who believed in the civil rights movement. It's very important film that we're sleeping on, and especially for the people who are, the children and grandchildren of the civil rights pioneers. You can pull it up on Facebook. It's called Anarchy USA, the Civil Rights Movement. When the first Civil Rights Act was passed in 1865, not 1965, 100 years before 1965, indigenous people wanted to join the corporate United States. That's where Reconstruction comes in. In joining the United States, the indigenous people had to give up their way of life in order to live this new lifestyle. They had to follow the rules, which they did not write. They had to adopt a new language, a foreign language, that really didn't cast them in a good light. In this new paradigm, they had to abandon their spiritual practices, which the Christians called voodoo, witchcraft, etc. They had to look different. If you were going to live in these cities, you had to look like the people in the cities. It's just that simple. You had to look like the people in the city, which meant instead of growing your own cotton to make your own clothes, you had to buy your clothes from the people in the cities. You had to start wearing sunglasses and sunblock to bleach you out of existence. And while we were busy doing these things, the foreigners came and took over what you left behind. See, you left your way of life to join them. Well, in the great crash of 1929, Black Friday, the economy floundered for the U.S. corporation, and the newest United States citizens, called Negroes, were systematically killed off, terrorized from their lands, bombed out, lynched, etc. Jim Crow laws were enacted to scatter and terrorize the people off their land. But for some reason, the Negro still found it in his heart to forget about that. And when Brown versus Board of Education was passed, to allow some people who had been terrorizing indigenous people jumped on it, like a cracked head jumps on a rock. We are now in the middle of that cycle. Remember, Civil Rights Act of 1865, Civil Rights Act of 1965, 100 years. About 80 years, 75, 80 years, when everything broke down, when the Jim Crow laws and all the lynching went down, that's when it really got crazy. And you're starting to see that happen in America today. We all remember Malcolm's words. If you don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. Joining me as always is my co-host Rick Moon. Rick Moon, what's going on, brother?
Hey, ain't nothing. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Hope y'all enjoy the talk tonight. Let's get to it. And also, hello to everybody else out there.
Memphis Mama from Memphis, Niecy Lachelle. How you doing, sweetie?
Hey, I'm doing great, brothers. How y'all doing?
Oh, all is
doing
well.
Good.
Lone Wolf on the west side. What's going on, Lone Wolf?
Hey, what's up, Bud? Hey, Rick. Hey, Niecy. Hey, Buck, I was going to ask you, what prize do you have for the folks with proof of their slave ship voyage?
Say that again?
I was saying, what prize do you have, for people to show proof of the slave ship voyage?
It's a surprise. You show me that you came from Africa. You give me some documentation, a passport from over Africa telling me that you leaving. Some old clothes. One of your ancestors may have had some shoes or whatever. Anything. Show it, and we have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Cool. All right, Niecy, you got the floor.
All right. This week, as a matter of fact, yesterday, they had this trial that had been going on for about 6 months or so with these educators, 20 educators in Georgia. They're in Fulton County, and they face up to 25 years in prison. The judge said before sentencing, they're going to have to come back for sentencing. They can face up to 25 years in prison. He said it was a culture of corruption. They're being charged with racketeering, something that's originally reserved for corporations, mobsters, and definitely banking, but, they're not being charged with anything like that. By the way, did any bankers go to prison for their racketeering, their thievery that cost us about $8 trillion? The short answer is no. So we know that there are worse crimes that will garner this much time. But what I find in talking to people is they don't get the bigger picture of what this is about. This is symptomatic of public education, the educational system as a whole in America, where our children are. This is not causation. These people did what they said they're accused of doing. I'm not negating that. They helped these children cheat on this test. These kids were elementary school children. That alone speaks volumes about, I suppose, what is going on with children that young. I thought originally that they were at least in junior high or something like that, but a lot of these kids, they were in elementary school. So it speaks to the causation of America's failed education system. That's something that we need to deal with. But even more so, this message is for the broader collective. What do we do in lieu of knowing that your child is being taught to the test? Teachers and educators, they're in catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if they do not have a significant number of children to pass these tests, then they lose their jobs. And so that's what it's all about. So the question now comes, what do we want to do about this failed education system that is corralling our children, and there's nothing good coming out of it?
Oh, very good question. Lone Wolf, since you're the teacher in this conversation, give us your views on that. These teachers were helping these kids, I guess, pass standardized tests. We should have our own education system by now. So, but, I know this affects a lot of youth. So you're in that realm. What's it like? And are our children, are they being trained or taught to go out into the world and survive?
Well, what I want to say, Buck, is like teachers, they receive bonuses when their schools achieve 70% or more on their annual progress goal. But they also are threatened to lose their job, like Sister Nisi say, if they come up short and they underachieve. Man, although these teachers, they altered and falsified answers on those standardized tests, they should be treated as felons. Hell, these Anglo-Saxon female teachers that have sex with their students and get busted on the news every week, they don't get such harsh sentences in court. These teachers are being prosecuted under Georgia's, I think it's called a RICO law. That's the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization statute. These people are today's racketeers, these teachers. Now, if you want to talk about that, let's look at the so-called businessmen of Wall Street. Those bankers admitted before Congress that they committed extortion and fraud. What the teachers did was unethical. And I understand if someone wanted to suspend them without pay or even fired. But 30 years in jail is ridiculous. You want the bonus money back, take a percentage out of their check each week. You know what I'm saying? Or let them tutor the students free every week. That's what I think.
Yes. Rick Moon, the education system that we find ourselves in now, we find ourselves receiving in a city like yours. You're in the midtown city. You're in Charlotte. That's kind of a mid-sized city. How is that? What kind of youth is that producing overall?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think that it's producing a good type. First of all, it's all you're out of your element. I mean, this so-called school system wasn't made for our people, and that's why we're not succeeding at it. And I just think as long as we continue to do that, no disrespect to the teacher on the program, but I just think if we continue to do this, we're just going to get in a deeper and deeper hole.
So you're saying this is par for course?
Yes, definitely.
Well, we're in the middle of March Madness. March Madness is the annual university college basketball tournament that goes on. And the money that is made during this time, and it goes on for 2-3 weeks, the money that's made during this time is astronomical. Astronomical. Most of these kids, when they get out of college, I'm saying most, because most don't make it. Most of these kids, when they get out of college, they can't even read and write their own name. At the university level, that's not happening. So what I want to talk about tonight, and callers, please call in, because we want to hear some other voices on this, because I don't know everything, and we got to get some fresh new ideas, because this shit that we doing now is whack. These brothers who are playing in this college basketball, some are going to make it and some are going to go on, but check out the financial that we create, and we can't create it for ourselves. Is this that we can't create it for ourselves? Is this a reflection of the education system, Nisi?
Absolutely. The education system that we are in, one of the most premier speakers really against it that I have listened to, and I really subscribe to a lot of things that he says, is John Taylor Gatto. So his videos are out there, and I would encourage any of our listeners to, pull up some of his videos and listen to him, because he's an authority on America's educational system. And people in that arena, they don't really like him because he's speaking direct to the causation and to these problems. Now, when you look at it, our education system is built on conformity. Children who have good critical thinking skills, for instance, they get in trouble in school because you are to follow everything precisely and be merely an automaton. That's what you're being taught to be, and to be a non-thinking individual in school. So we have these teachers who are teaching to the test. They're not teaching anything that has to do with learning. It doesn't have anything to do with life skills or life in general. So you have to ask yourself, what good is it? There literally is no value in American public education at this point in time. And once we integrated into it, vis-a-vis post-segregation and desegregation, then it was designed. I can't see it not being by design to be what it ultimately became.
Well, let's take a look at the teach, because this is my take on it. I want to get to you, Rick, on this. The teachers. I mean, I had teachers when I was growing up, and when I look back on it, when I see old friends and stuff, and they say, "Oh man, this teacher was such and such and such great." Now these are black teachers. I was always in trouble because of what Nisi just said. You ask a question, you done messed up. Moms was always up there coming to get me because I'm just asking a question. But if I asked a question, I was disturbing the class. So you're right about that. So, Rick, my question to you is this: you have teachers that are around our age group, and they see that these kids are being miseducated, and they see that these kids are being miseducated like that. What aren't we doing? The people who are supposed to be educated and over our children's mind, what's on their minds?
I just think that they're on the same trip that everybody else is on. I think they actually think that if we can go through this system that wasn't made for us, that we can actually have some success at it. But as you see, we're not, and we're playing somebody else's game. And until we start making our own rules, we're going to continue to fall. And, you know, I feel sorry for those teachers, you know, that got convicted, you know, of doing that stuff. But, I mean, look at it. You got a white judge convicting 11 so-called African Americans. I mean, that in itself tells me that there's a lot wrong with that picture.
Say, getting them all at one swoop, huh?
Yeah, one swoop, and then call them all felons.
You see, I to me, what I'm seeing now as I talk to people, I don't think we're looking at what's going on. I think we're into that empire scandal mindset. We're not really paying attention to that. Lone Wolf, the teachers, and I know a lot of teachers, and one of the groups of us who really like to go out and get their boogie on is the teacher. You drive by the elementary schools around here. I mean, the elementary schools around here are so bad, I wouldn't send a dog in there to get education. They're horrible. And what I notice about the teachers in there is that they're mostly Greeks. They pledge this Greek thing, and they in there wearing our kids' minds out. I mean, they can't even make sentences. They can't even have a conversation with their parents. That's why the child services is all in that. Lone Wolf, since you're in that realm, what are the teachers saying about what our children are being taught?
Well, I want to make a correction. I want to tell you, I'm not a teacher. I'm a behavior specialist, which is basically like a counselor. And we have great teachers at the school I work at, and I know a lot of great teachers at other schools. It's all on the person. It's all on the individual. You know, either they want to pass the buck, and I don't know what to call these people that help these children. You know, that, like I said, that's not right, man, because our children should not have to cheat to pass. You know, our children have to be twice as smart as their counterparts in order to get the same job, you know. So passing the buck won't help them when it's time to perform in whatever position they're trying to hold. You know, they're going to be at whatever job they're just looking stupid because they don't know what to do.
As a teacher,
mm-hmm.
is there a better way?
If you're a teacher and you have a class, you basically have to treat them as you would your own children, I say. You know, you wouldn't want anything less for them, you know. You don't want them to get by. You want them to understand what you're talking about. We teach basically, like our class, man, it become a family, man, by the end of the school year. It's a lot of fighting, a lot of crying, a lot of throwing desks and chairs and all that, but even the worst people, man, they finally buckle on down when they see somebody care about them and you're trying to help them.
So is that, Nisi, what you're saying, the teachers in this case, in the Atlanta case, were they being what Lone Wolf was saying? Were they caring about the kids? Were they, you know, giving their all to, how does that work in a situation like that? Because I know they're in a system where their hands are tied. This is why we should have our own system. But go ahead.
Exactly. That's exactly why we should have our own system, because no child left behind. You know, even when Obama came on board, this is what gets to my juggernaut. Nothing really changed. So you got no child left behind, pretty much left in place, and they changed the name, but it's an unfunded mandate. Because these kids, I know a lot of teachers too, these kids come to school hungry. How much attention is a child, especially one in elementary school, how much attention are they paying, and their stomach is rumbling, okay, because they didn't get to eat breakfast. Now, schools do serve breakfast, but you have some parents, I don't want to, you know, I'm a parent, I don't want to just dog parents out, but we do have to keep this real, who don't get their kids to school early enough to get the breakfast, you know, whatever they're serving. So, again, the child hasn't had anything to eat. I know teachers, good teachers, who have decided, and they've been doing this for years, to incorporate their classroom into their grocery bill so the kids can have something to eat in their class in between snacks and stuff. You know, peanut butter crackers, Pop-Tarts, whatever, so that the child can settle down, not be as restless because they're hungry, and try to learn, bring fruit to school, things like that. So we got so many issues that stem from poverty, okay? And not to mention, you know, if you have a parent that can't read or write very well themselves. So you got all of these issues. Now the teachers, back to that, you have teachers, these folks just made a decision. I was supposed, and I'm not going to beat up on them about that. All of it is, it's just a no-win situation that we need to backtrack and get out of. They've already done it now, but in their mind, they can't lose their house and their car and what little they got because the kids can't pass the test that they're being forced to give without any additional resources because, again, it is a federal mandate that was not repealed. I repeat, it was never repealed by Obama. His education czar, Ernie, whatever his name, he just called it something else. Okay?
Rick, how do
That's the problem.
Listen, I mean, is it me, or when I look out amongst us, it seems like we've just thrown in the towel. That's what it looks like and seems like to me. We just thrown in the towel. And if we're just doing what you just said, Nisi, to just, what you say, pay to keep what little we got, because we all really just, I mean, we all really just leasing all this material stuff. We all really just leasing it. It ain't really ours. So that's what I mean about the education when you say the parents. When you say the parents coming in late, and you know we always late. When you say the parents are late, when the kids are late, I hear you. That's setting the kids up to be late their whole life. Isn't that? So is the teacher really to blame, or does it stem from home? Because remember, the people who sending the kids to school were brought up in the same system. Nisi, what you think about that?
It's stemming from home because that's your child. You are your child's first teacher. You structure your child. All of the things that are written onto your child's template are pretty much, you know, with rare exceptions, you are the one who does that as the parent. So we are in some type of mindlessness that is just to our detriment. Every which way you turn, we're in everything, everywhere, and there's nothing good coming out of it because these things are systems. And again, the Latin word, I have to find it because, and I miss Rick Moon's word. The Latin word for system, when you look it up, it's toilet. It's a Roman word for toilet.
What's a Roman word for toilet?
System, but it's spelled a little different, and that's the root word, and it comes from the Roman Latin word, and it means toilet.
That's true.
African Americans Ain't African Radio. We're talking education. We're talking about the teachers in Atlanta who are being sentenced. They're not being sentenced, but you know how this court system works for us. They're being charged with misconduct or whatever we can't do right, whatever we can't fix for ourselves, we have to go and join other people in theirs. And I mean, we say we have some people who are getting by with it. But is that enough? Is that enough? Because I'm seeing people, man, we sick. I don't see people really caring about life. They have no interest in life. Everything is death culture. Everything is death culture. I mean, we still some of the biggest cigarette smokers. The things we do. So why are we here? Is the education that we get, is it to genocide us out? Give us a call. Share your views with us. 605-562-3140 to participate. 240-670. Lone Wolf. Is that what's happening? What you learned in school as a behavior? I mean, when you say you're a behavioral specialist, shit, that's better than a teacher, you know, because I know what you got to deal with. So is there any hope? Is there anything that we can do to make it better? Or do you see something, or some of your compadres who you work with, do you guys see how any way this could be better? If you do, share some of those ideas with us.
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to be blunt, man. They could pay the teachers a lot more because they're getting paid pennies. And like Sister Nisi said, a lot of them are going in their pocket to purchase the kids' snacks and stuff because you can't teach somebody who's hungry. And they're going to be complaining and whining during the whole period. So it's kind of like it's helping both of you guys. But like she said, it's coming out of your own pocket. So that's a start. Maybe that'll make teachers stand up and do what they're supposed to do and go the extra mile, which they're supposed to be doing anyway. But I think it comes from both sides. It's the teachers and it's the parents, man. The parents, even if, I don't know if you remember back in the day, man, you might have some parents like from a farm or something. They just grew up doing field work or something, but they send their children to school. They still would have communication with their teacher and be accountable, hold that child accountable and hold that teacher accountable. Nowadays, you have back to school nights and stuff like that, man, and out of 12 students, you only, like, as far as the parents coming to school to check on the kids, only about 3 of them would come. About 3 sets of parents. That's if you're lucky. So the parents have to care. The students have to care. We can't, these minds are so young, we can't teach these kids that it's okay to cheat. Man, they minds right like a sponge, We got to get them, man. We got to instill these morals in them. What kind of morals and lessons they learning if the teacher's helping them cheat and they know that they didn't pass this? How is that building their self-esteem?
African Americans ain't African radio. We're all talking about education. Nisi, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to tell along with it's not. But a couple of years ago, I read a pretty in-depth survey, and the data that came from it had to do with CEOs. Okay, now, the duality of our so-called civilization is just fuckery. That's the best word I can come up with. It may not be in the dictionary, but I think everybody knows what that means. The CEO said, when asked, and there was a question on there, it was at the beginning of the survey, what did they think about cheating, or something to that effect. 100% of however many that total was said that cheating is you cannot succeed if you don't cheat. These are people who get damn golden parachutes to shit on people's heads and tell them it's a hack. That's who they are. And they are the most esteemed and, revered people, quote unquote, in our society. Why? Because we embrace the fake fiat and we tie everything to economics, to money. So these people, and let's add to their politicians and a lot of other professions, that lying, the culture of lying, that is what America is built on. We know good and well this country is the very basis and foundation of it is tied to untruths, lies, and so forth. So these people who make all the money, lying is essential to success. But now, I do want to remind everybody that judge, just listening to him, and I listened to different takes on different news videos, and then I read up on it. He remanded these people immediately. Well, there are felons, and you could have heard his southern drawl because he's in Georgia, like these people were cults with Charles Manson or somebody. He immediately remanded, and their family members nobody could believe that. So they had to take watches and jewelry and stuff off, because I don't think, not even their attorneys, nobody expected them to be immediately remanded to prison. But they were.
So basically, when we might be looking at this, so basically, if what you said is true about what the CEO is saying, basically those teachers were helping those children. Because all it
They
is,
were help.
because
Go ahead.
all it is simply is we got to help each other. If you got to get through, because I don't, what we're taught in those institutions, I don't think is life sustaining for us at all. So to me, it's like you got to get out of here. We can look at that in a whole bunch of different ways, but I think if we look at it from the way that the system looks at it, it'll keep us confused. Rick, what do you say about that?
I say, hi, y'all. This is Debbie. I say this is a test. This is a serious test. First of all, think about how they conquer countries. They come from one side, then they go to the other. This is exactly what's happening right now. They have attacked our children, and now they're attacking the teachers. And just like if we really break it down, we will find out that they were actually helping those children because we know who we are. I feel that if anything, we should find out more about what's happening with those teachers, those other what do we call ourselves? African Americans, our people who are in trouble, because that's what's happening. So they're attacking the kids, and we are semi-protecting them. But now with the adults, what are we going to do? This is a test to see. What are we going to do? Because once the adults, especially educators, the people who think that they're safe, are attacked and no one does anything, they're going to go from that space to helpless, just like the children are. We're going to have to start doing something, for real.
Debbie, I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you on that. You're absolutely right. What do you think we should be doing?
Okay, well, look, I just want to elaborate on that a little more and say that I agree with you, what you said about the education system not being what we really need to live. I mean, live life. It's dismantling anyway. It's breaking down in every area. In New York City, they hired a PR person with no education, no experience, to be the top. What's that person? Right? Of the Board of Education. Is crazy, right? And then they changed the whole curriculum to the point where the teachers spent the whole year learning the curriculum, so the kids learned nothing, right? So, it's broken.
So what? It was broken when it was broken when I was in school, and that was over 30 years ago. It was broken then. So what do we do? Or you're an intelligent woman. What do you think? What would you do if you had free reign to say, look, y'all, this is what we're going to do for education? What would you do?
I can say that I've seen some great examples of homeschooling communities. There's some in different states. And as a matter of fact, as soon as I get back in touch with them, I'm going to post them in African Americans that ain't African, so that we can start being in touch with them. Because I have a school-age child, and I don't make decisions alone. His father, is involved in, and we don't see eye to eye on whether he should go to school or not. And so, it's about having an example that we can say this is something better. We know it's bad, but what's the alternative? And I know that's not really answering the question. I wish I did have the magic answer, but what I'm saying is that if we work with what is working, then the answer is just going to come. It's just going to happen. But we do have to support the things that are working. In New York, Mr. Canada, Dr. Canada, Mr. Canada, who does the Harlem Success Academy. And, these are things that I personally will support and help. So I think that we do have these groups. And if all we can do, I have a page also so I can post and I can let people know things that are going on. That's my help in a lot of ways and whatever I can do as an individual. But once we start putting the light on what is working, see, this is what we have to do. We have to start really putting the light on what is working.
Okay, well, thank you very much, ma'am. So what she says is, and I agree, whatever's working now, wherever we get in the best return for what we want, I think we should expand that by what, a millionfold? We have a few callers on the line. Area code 337. You had something you want to add? Area code 337. All right, area code 651. Okay, Rick, what do you say? What would you say we could do? Give us some solutions to this problem. Even if it sounds way out there and crazy, what do you think? If you were going to build your own education where you can say, you know what, we got to get out of this ignorance, what would it compose of?
Well, first of all, it might sound way out and crazy to a lot of people, but it's not. It's what you're supposed to do. First of all, let's stop putting blame on everybody. I'm sorry. It is the parents' responsibility to how your child gets educated. It ain't the teacher's. That's not her job. Her job is to teach you math, science, social studies, or whatever. Her job ain't to teach you life, to teach that child life lessons, how to survive out in the world, how to build his own house and stuff like that. That's not a teacher's responsibility. That is the parents' responsibility. It's always been that way, and it should always be that way. And talking about turning this thing around, what we need to do is just get our children out of the so-called public school system, period. Because like everybody's been saying, it is not made for us to be successful. We need to do the training ourselves. We need to, that was a good suggestion what the lady said about the homeschooling. But we need to teach our children about themselves, not somebody else teaching them about somebody else. And when you teach children about how to be somebody else, that's the road they take.
So you're saying that's what we're experiencing now. So-called indigenous people in America, they're playing the roles of what the foreigners have taught them.
Absolutely. That's exactly what's happening. I mean, these schools don't teach you first of all, the school system it's a German system. And the last I heard, Germans were Europeans. And I want to know is how is a German going to teach you how to be an indigenous person when he's an alien?
But Rick, it seems that's what we want. We want that more than the trinkets that's what it seems like to me, Rick.
Yeah, it does seem like it's that way, but that's what we got to start. That's what we got to put out. That's why I say it's our responsibility as parents and grandparents or whatever to take on their role of how our children get educated. That is the only way that it's going to work, because nobody else is going to teach you how to be like you. They're going to teach you how to be like them.
Ooh, let's go back to the phone lines, Rick. Area code 646. You had something you want to add?
Yeah. I appreciate the education that y'all been giving me for the last 3 weeks. But, Rick, I think you're on topic, but you jump off topic. And I say that to say this because if we all in this bubble and we all being conditioned, and there's hardly anyone, like we represent like the 2% in society that actually know what's going on, while the other 90 plus just don't. So how can that 90 plus educate kids? I just don't get it.
Say that again.
I said, we on this line is like 2 to 3% that actually know what's going on.
Yes.
And the other 90 plus just don't know what's going on. They locked in that matrix. So for us to say that we blame the parents for misguiding the kids, but they are a product of the 98% that's confused.
Okay, so what do we do? What do we do to get unconfused? Because as a being on this planet, we all know what's happening to us.
Right.
I mean, and I think we play that role, that victim role. We have mastered that. We see what's happening to us. Everybody who sees this story about these teachers, they know that's some bullshit. But I'm saying there is nothing. So this is where we just die out. We become extinct because our only excuse is, I don't know. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Now, going back to what Rick said, which I agree, we have to get our kids out of the system. We have to get our kids out of the system, but we have to build that trust. That 90% plus got to trust the 2% on knowing that we know how to get out of this situation. As soon as we build up the trust, then everything will fall in place.
Well, how are you going to pull your kids out of the system when you're in the system?
Right.
Well, like us on this line, my kids already know that, hey, this is a situation. You can take the system, learn from it, something constructive, and build on your own. Buy land. Stop growing your own food. Knowing how to purify the water. That's what I'm teaching. But, I'm surrounded by the other 90-something% that just don't get it. And sometimes the kids get it, but, when they go home, that's a whole different reality.
Yes. All right.
Well,
But
we have to. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You know what, though, brother? Brother? Unfortunately, that 98% you're talking about, unfortunately,
right.
Up to 98% of that might be the gotta go. I mean, all what we're doing is stuff like this forum right here. That's some of the things that we can do. I mean, it's up to us who know this stuff to try to spread it too. But of course, you can't. Everybody's not going to go for it. But at least you put it out there. I mean, everybody, and like I said, unfortunately, most of us ain't going to get it because most of us are caught in this trick bag that this European has put us in, and we ain't trying to come out of it.
Yeah, because we conditioned and we dependent. Ever since our people moved from the south up north, that's been the cutoff point because now we don't even know how to grow our food. We don't know how to do anything constructive.
And so maybe that's what the African American was created for, to destroy. Nisi, what's your take on that?
Real quick before the caller leaves, I was just gonna ask. Sorry about that, Nisi. Hey, brother, this is Lone Wolf. Can I ask where you from and where you at now?
Yes, I'm from New York, Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Yeah,
but you mentioned the South. That's where you were born, in the South?
No, my family's from the South, South Carolina.
Okay, cool. Thank you, brother. Sorry, Nisi. Go ahead.
What was the question, Buck? I don't remember what the question was. What were you saying?
I forgot the question.
Buck. Okay. I mean, because I'm trying to intently listen to everyone, but your question just went out the door.
Okay, forgive me. Thanks, Lone Wolf. Let's go to another caller. Area code 651. So, Nisi, you're putting together what you heard tonight plus what you've thought of before. Solutions. If this problem is going to be fixed, what are some of the solutions that you've seen or that you've thought about?
Some of the solutions we were split on things like charter schools, okay? And I'll just use my example. My youngest son, I pulled him out of, quote unquote, a quasi-traditional school, and I put him in a charter school. So just using that example, because we got to go with, what our folks can maybe gravitate to, and then keep pulling them, to get them to do what we hope that they do. In the charter school that I put my son in, there were more male teachers, more of our men teaching. He saw that. He was taught by them. That was invaluable because, there are more women in education than there are men. That's one thing. Then when we have our boys get labeled as special needs, quote unquote, a lot. That's a problem. You also had a school that started later, a little later in the day, because we have children on a schedule like they're going to jobs. They're not going to damn jobs. They're barely awake. These are kids. Just because things have always been done, that doesn't mean that they just should have been undone a long time ago. So we had that. We have letting children be more creative. Children who get to do projects and have fun in the learning process. You'd be surprised because that lends to teamwork and team building.
But Nisi,
so
shouldn't that be taught? Shouldn't that be taught? Shouldn't that be taught by the cousins, the grandmothers, the mothers, the fathers? And I'm saying, since we find ourselves in this dilemma where I'm looking at, we have a very, very high premature death rate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about something that, because when we talk about like somebody's supposed to be out there doing it for us just because we need it. I'm saying, isn't this supposed to be built up by us? What do we think?
What's wrong with the community, our community schools, in terms of a long time ago, even when I was growing up, you could go to people's houses and there was a parent who would make sure children were doing their homework. Sometimes you would stay there, and you didn't always go to a community center or anything like that, and kids were learning, because the best way that kids learn is from each other. They learn from each other, parents first and foremost, of course. But as people, social beings, we have to be around each other. I'm simply saying, figure out what you want to do from a community collective standpoint. It is easier when we sit down and say, okay, 10 people are going to figure out some type of schedule. We are pulling our children out of this compulsory education BS, and we are now going to commit ourselves to being a community collective for homeschooling our children. That can be done.
I think that's a good idea, but here's an example of how I would do it. And I'm just going to use the example of like a housing project. Let's say the Los Angeles housing development that's on First Street. Let's say those people in that development, every single last one of them. This is just an example, but it could be used for all type of things. Let's say those people are all they're gonna do for the time that they're in school is produce socks. That how every housing project in America, those people in that housing project that is producing socks, they go to every other housing project first in North America to get them to buy their socks. That's how I would do it. It can be to grow food. We're going to grow black walnut. We're going to grow black walnut trees. This housing project or this block of people, it doesn't have to be a housing project. It can be a block of people or a street of people. Let's say the people on the north side of the street, let's say they grow tomatoes, and the people on the right side of the street, they grow lettuce. They grow lettuce. Things like that, I think, are doable in the community. Lone Wolf, what do you think?
Well, in that case we originally started talking about, I read it was 180 teachers and administrators in 44 schools. How about, like you guys say, I don't know, if I don't think this is homeschooling, but a school, a specialized school, like that you're talking about, where you could learn different trades and things of that nature. I told you once before about that school they have out here. Is it Marcus Garvey? You remember? The school is like an all-black school. You know the school I'm talking about, Bud? It's on Slauson.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a I heard it's pretty good, man, that the kids learn a lot and it's all black. How about, you make schools like that, just where it's less expensive, because their school is very expensive, I heard. But how about, like Brother Bud said and you said, we just have a specialized school, like for trades and whatever, whatever it is. It could be computers. It could be, because that's where everything is going to. We can't leave that out. I say you got to start approaching these entertainers and these actors and these business people with some type of proposition, get some paperwork going, man, and get some funds going. You see how all those people was doing that little ALS challenge and stuff like that with the buckets, the ice bucket. You could get people to sign up for anything. They got these Kickstarter programs now. People need to get together and have these people endorse these schools, man, because children, that's the future. That's the way to go. And I also want to hit on what Niecy said earlier about that No Child Left Behind. That's the worst crap they ever came out with, man. Some people need to fail. You can't let people pass who don't deserve to pass. I went to a little public school back in the day, man, and, I ain't proud to say, but they held me back in 5th grade. But I also met some of the best friends of my life in that 5th grade class, the second time. And I also knew to take school more important. Was I hurt when I got left behind? Yes. But now as a man, do I appreciate it even more? Yes. It makes you stronger, man, So that's my take on it. Anybody there?
Everybody, area code 646, you had something you want to add?
That was a powerful statement, man. It's just like Dr. Amos said that once you in the system, it's impossible for every kid to finish at the same time. So that's how the education system is. Everybody got to finish at the same time, and that's impossible, I think.
Area code 646.
Yes. Hello?
I'm talking about Debbie. Area code 646, Debbie. All right, area code 651. Well, this is how I'm seeing it. We better come up with something fast, because it's funny that you brought it up, Niecy, that the technology is off the hook. Are we going to be able to keep up with this technological thing? I mean, I know just being able to punch emails with your thumb and look up stuff on a little box. With this technological wave that's hitting us now, are we going to be able to keep up?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because when you compare schools in the suburbs to inner city schools, guess what they don't have? Guess what's missing primarily in probably 95% of them? STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay, that's a curriculum. It's the core curriculum that encompasses the things that you need to know to keep up with, with where we're going for these next decades and so forth as it relates to technology. Technology is changing every month. Okay, so if our children are deficient in math, they can't do engineering. And engineering has to do with math because you're designing things, based, again, on math. Technology is the same thing. Science, you have to have. So, we're lacking in that. And I just find that we've got to come up with creative ways to back out of the system.
Let me ask you a
we
question.
need to begin to do it now.
Let me ask you this. So, did the Egyptians, did the Mayans, did the people who built the Great Wall, did all of these great civilizations, were they astute in mathematics like we're being taught or what's being said or being put forth here? Are they astute? Were their engineering skills like we have today here in America? And this is what I'm thinking, and I got to agree with you, Rick, that we are people of this planet. We are people of this earth. And if you look around America, you've seen that our ancestors have done it before. And I'm saying, I think that we're looking at this person like they are just all great and all knowing, and whatever they say and do, that's what it has to do. And I'm saying, I don't think it's like that. Area code 646. Debbie, you had something you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to say all of those suggestions are really good, and it's just a matter of support behind it. But I just wanted to say another suggestion. Another suggestion is if you go to the mayor's office online in whatever city that you're in, they help you to give classes in the school. So the schools that are already there, you can give a class. And it could be, let's say it's a craft class, but it's Native American craft class. You can include all of the curriculum that you have in that class. So there's ways that we can go and use what's there, including the things that are not great, and just support and add to them. Also, on a whole nother level, really, creating our own academy in your house, like, your living room academy, but let it be something respectful, like engineering or electrical engineering academy, or internet marketing academy, or something like this, where someone could get a certificate, be part of it, and grow it it'll be part of a business, part of a school, part of an academy, part of the community. You see what I mean?
So you're saying get a brother that's an electrician in the community, and he come by. And I'm going to use the housing project because this is where a lot of us are. I just want to give the picture. So let's say a brother that's an electrician, he comes through once 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week or something, and teaches and lends what he knows to the brothers in that particular project.
Exactly. And if you put the right paperwork in place, they can be apprenticed, and then that will make them journeymen, and then that will make them certified and able to do anything. See what I mean?
Yes.
But it's just having the right path, and the path of, okay, well, I'm just going to teach you, and you're just going to learn. You can never get a job because you ain't going to have no certificate. You ain't going to know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
We can't keep doing that. We have to set it up the way that it's going to be something that man can then pass down to his son, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am. Well, we're coming to the top of the hour. Thank you, Debbie, very much for your input. We're coming to the top of the hour. Lone Wolf, you saying the behavior. What are some of the behavioral issues that you see that are coming to that stem directly from the home, and why does it make it so tough for these children to get a proper education?
Well, we have to remember that we're some of the most cold-blooded inventors, scientists, and doctors ever. Check our past out, the things we invented. We have to keep that tradition going. We got to start that by cutting off this damn dumbass TV with all these little videos and new dances every week and new idiotic sayings, these little phrases they got going, and truffle butter and all this crap. I don't even want to tell you what that stuff means. Man, they got to cut out with all this buffoonery, man. It's time to buckle down. And that's where I blame the parents.
So let me say this, Lone Wolf. When you said that, this what came to mind. So basically, you're saying is everybody shut down cable TV and take those funds to build our academies.
Let's do it.
Wow. Thanks, brother. Nisi.
Yeah. And stop buying them dumbass $300 T-shirts and hats and shoes. You know what I mean? Like Kanye just had some shoes came out cost $350, man. You know, ain't no reason in the world these parents should be buying that for the kids. And if the kids end up with them, I want to know how they got them. I know ain't nobody gonna work 2 weeks at some grocery store as far as a kid and go spend his whole check on some damn shoes. So we need to cut that crap out, man. And rewarding these kids for F's and tardies in school, giving them phones. All the kids got better phones than we do.
Where they getting them from?
Parents. Or selling dope and you know, or doing whatever.
Right.
We got girls, man, I hate to say it, but, you know, you can find them on Craigslist, man, selling their body, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Lone Wolf, thanks a lot. Niecy, you want to close out with?
Yeah, just a little something. I'll just say, for every one of our people who doesn't embrace collectivism, doesn't gravitate towards cohesion and unification, they only serve to further fracture the whole of the collective, each one exacerbating the dysfunction and disunity. Then the mosaic is that of a giant puzzle with too many missing pieces, a mass without form. In the words of Frederick Douglass, power sees nothing without a demand.
Ooh. Rick, that high school diploma you got in college, what can you leave us with, brother?
I'll leave you with this. You know, there were a lot of suggestions that were made on the show tonight on how we're going to, how we can turn this thing around. But there's two things that I didn't hear that definitely need to be talked about. Number one, I don't care what kind of charter school, high school, whatever kind of school you build, if you're not in control of the curriculum, it is no good. It's not going to work. So we have to control the curriculum of what we're teaching our children if we're going to do something like that. The second thing that we have to be aware of is, you know, I heard some suggestions about, you know, getting people who have certain expertises. All this stuff it's got to be in coherence with life. It has to be. That's the only way it's going to work. Another thing, we're going to have to go back to some of the old ways. Yes, there's some of the new ways that we're going to need, like when Lone Wolf made a suggestion about the computer classes. That's something that could be done that we're not going to get rid of. But we have to go back to the old ways because we got to get back into life, and we got to get back into supporting life. And that means that we need to take care of this universe that we live in. And with that, I just want to say good night.
Of course, we're going to have to use life, you know, that keeps us connected to life. And one of the things that I think why we're disconnected from the planet is because we're not living life. We're living a pseudo life. We're living like Greeks. We're Christians. We're Muslims. We're Buddha. We're all of these things. We're everything but ourselves. And so, Rick, I got to agree with you when you say this. But like I said before, it has to be born by us, and it has to be grown by us. That's the only way it's going to work. It's going to have to come through the grassroots, and that's the majority of the people. So with that, I want to tell everybody I really, really appreciate your time tonight to talk about this matter, because, Nisha, you heard it earlier when you said, man, everybody getting it. They getting these teachers with one swoop. You know, 25, 30 people at a time. This is something we got to pay attention to, and we have to start doing things a lot different than we've been doing in the past 50, 100 years. So with that, we're going to end for the night. Yes, ma'am?
I just said absolutely.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to go ahead and close it out for this weekend. Yesterday was the New Year. Yesterday was the new year. We're smack dab in the middle of spring. And this is what, when we say education, that's what we mean. The Europeans, they celebrate the new year in the dead of winter. Indigenous people celebrate the new year right when everything is coming back. It's the new year. Everything is new. It's starting to get green. You got to pull out the lawnmowers. The trees are starting to get green. That's the new year. And one of the ways, since we're under somebody else's time, this is what makes it so hard for us to get out of it, because we don't even have our own time. We're under the time, like Rick said earlier, this school system is German. We know more about Germany than we know about ourselves. So this is one of the main problems, and this is why everything that we pick up in these coming years, because we in the fourth quarter, y'all, 2 minutes. What we gonna do? Are we gonna get out of here like the Egyptians, or are we gonna manifest life and spring ourselves back? So with that, I want to tell everybody thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.